the Sync4 media screen for the 2022 F150. We know this is the 21 versus the 22 because we've got our temperature here instead of in the gauges a little bit further down. But this is going to be the screen we're going to find inside of some of the higher packages in the XLT, inside of the Lariat, King Ranch, Platinum, etc. So we're going to dive through, go through every individual option, and you're going to learn everything you need to know about this media screen. So starting off at the very top, we do have our temperature gauges along the very top there instead, so we can kind of see as we adjust there. So driver versus passenger side. So we do have dual zone climate control inside of this specific one. Now if we hit the dual zone climate control button, as you see there, it's going to default whatever the driver's temperature is over to the passenger side. We've got our clock along the top, so we can press that in order to get into our base clock settings, but I'll show you that one in a moment. Along the very top, we've got some basics for data transfer. We've got our outside temperature up along the top right-hand side on top of that. Starting off with our sources here. So as you can see there, mix, we've got AM, FM, SiriusXM, Bluetooth audio. If we had a USB stick with MP3s on it, that would show up as an option. If we had other devices connected, so if we were hooked up over Bluetooth, certain apps would show up as playable directly through this middle screen. So LiveX Live, which is a radio app, is an example of one that would show up on this screen. Moving back, we can direct tune a few different ways if we want to. So we can direct tune along the very top there, so we can literally just type in a station this way if we want. We've got a tuning rocker a bit further down, and then we can also press the voice command prompt on the steering wheel, and we can change stations that way. So there are a ton of different options that are available there, and just doing a quick audio test. Such an amazing system. Like, I absolutely love the way that this thing sounds. And this is just the base audio system inside the truck. We've got the option for the upgraded Bang & Olufsen, which sounds even better. But going through some more basics, we can change between songs, radio stations, we can go plus or minus in order to tune that way on top of that. And then we've got some sound settings along the very bottom. So we've got some tone settings, so things like treble, mid-range, bass. Something like this, where the treble's down, mid-range is balanced, and the bass is a little bit higher, typically would give you great sound inside of the vehicle. Moving back, we've got our balance fade. So if you're the only person in the vehicle, you're going to want to drive it to the driver's seat, or you're going to want to drag it, I should say, to the driver's seat. It's going to give you more of an immersive experience that way. If you've got more people in the vehicle, you can adjust as necessary, or just reset it back to center again. Back from there, we've got our speed compensated volume, so a few settings. So what that means is that if you're going a little bit faster, you're going to get some muffled noise, so it's going to automatically increase the volume for you. And then your occupancy mode, so is it strictly the driver or all seats occupied? And moving back from there, we've got a series of different presets, and as you can see there, the one that I've set up, or that I've tuned to, is not saved as a preset. So in order to save it, all you do is tune to whatever station you want to, whether that's AM, FM, SiriusXM, so you can have a mix, and you're just going to do a press and hold. As you can see there, the preset's now saved, and it's that simple setting up a preset inside of this thing. Oh, really, really love it. Now, we do have this tray along the right-hand side, and that's going to give us a few other options because we can cycle up and down to a few different options. So we've got our zone lighting and a few others. We've got it set up this way, but we can hit the button along the very bottom right to change it out to a different style instead. So as you can see there, we've got some individual pages now, and we can literally just go up and down between different pages to see some off-road statuses, eco behavior. We can exit out of that to go back to the main view. And then even if we're in certain options, so you see there we've got our trip counter available on this screen instead. We've got our map, which we can swipe across in order to get into our map on top of that. So a few different options that are available there. And it is nice that there's so much flexibility as to what's actually showing up here. Along the very bottom tray, next up is going to be adding in a phone. So it's also very straightforward to add in a phone and set it up. So all you're going to do on your cell phone is just make sure that your Bluetooth is turned on. So we're going to hit add phone there.
Search for your vehicle on your device and select it once it is found.
Okay, Bluetooth is on, and we've got F150, so we're just going to connect.
Confirm that the pin displayed on Sync matches the pin displayed on your device.
Pins match up, so that's perfect. Do we want to allow contacts and favorites to sync? Yes or no? I'm going to hit don't allow for now, and should take a second there. And we are connected. So pairing is successful.
For your safety, please stay alert to changing road conditions and use Sync's voice-activated features while your vehicle is in motion.
All right, so we also have the option of enabling 911 assist. One of the big benefits there is that if you're ever in an accident, certain conditions will automatically dial 911 for you. If for whatever reason you haven't reconnected your phone through Bluetooth, you're in an accident, your vehicle will attempt in order to reconnect to that previous device to dial 911 for us. So I always recommend making sure 911 assist is turned on. And as you can see there, we're now connected. And then on my phone, yeah, so it's saying, do I want to allow CarPlay with Ford F150? I'm going to say not now. I'm going to show you how we can set it up in a moment. But taking a look, we've got my favorites, recent calls, contacts, we've got the keypad. And as you can see, there are a ton of other options. Now, we do also have the flexibility of pressing and holding the button on the steering wheel, longer press, in order to be able to activate our Siri Assistant, and it's the same way with our Google Assistant, which is definitely a nice thing. So as you can see, they're fully connected. If we go back to our audio now, we can go to Sources, and we've got my phone, and we've also got that LiveX Live radio app. So a few different options that are available there. Now, not every app will work over Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, or even through Bluetooth. So there are some things you have to look at. If, for whatever reason, like specific apps, I'd say like YouTube would be one of the big ones. You can't necessarily, well, you can't play YouTube videos through this middle screen, but you'd be able to stream audio over the vehicle that way if you wanted to. So a lot of flexibility. Moving back into our phone, we've got a few other options that are available there. Now, if we go into our settings along the bottom, we've got our phone list. We've got my phone there. And as you can see, we've got some different options now. So we've got connection options, we've got my phone settings, so we can manage my contacts if we wanted to. We can set ringtones, so specific ringtones in the vehicle. We've got our roaming warning and our low battery notification, and then some different connection options. So we can disconnect from phone and Bluetooth if we wanted to, or we can connect to CarPlay. So if you didn't fully set up CarPlay when you first connected your vehicle, or your phone to your vehicle, this is the way you're going to do it. And we want to connect to CarPlay next up. So what we're going to do, on our phone settings, we're just going to go CarPlay, and we've got F150 that's showing up. So we're going to connect there. We're going to turn CarPlay on. There we go. So the phone supports Apple CarPlay, so we're just going to enable here. Perfect, and we are fully connected. So as you can see there, we've got my Google Maps, we've got Apple Maps, we've got Google Maps, and we've got Waze. So yeah, we've got factory navigation here, but we could also use one of these other map applications directly through the screen if we wanted to. Now, one thing to note, unfortunately, as you can see there, there's no way for us to swipe across in order to make this thing full screen. So unfortunately, it is locked into place there. I kind of wish that they would let us take up this entire screen real estate because it looks so nice. But unfortunately, we can't. But at the same time, we're at least connected through those other map applications if we wanted to use one of those instead. So very straightforward. We've got our podcast that we can easily listen to. Jumping back to our home screen, we've got calendar and a number of other options. Now back on the Apple CarPlay side of things, so if you're not necessarily here, we go to our general settings, CarPlay, F150, and we can customize. So we can customize the launcher here. So if you're a bigger fan of maybe listening to your audiobooks, we can jump that up to the top, podcasts, whatever the case may be. So it's a dynamic update. If for whatever reason you don't want certain ones, you can just hit remove. We can remove however many we want to a degree. Some of them, they are stuck into place and we can't lock them out. We can't delete them, I should say. Anything we would delete would be on the bottom. And we can also do a reset in order to bring it back to our factory default screen instead. So you can see there, back to that main screen, and we are fully connected again. So it literally is that simple. We can hit phone list along the very top to jump back into the phone again. Moving back in, we've got my Apple CarPlay that we're connected to. So we can disable that if we want to just connect through Bluetooth instead of being connected through Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. So we're just going to hit disable for a second. We can easily connect back to CarPlay that way if we want to. And then one thing to note, we turn the vehicle off, we come back inside, we would have to reconnect to CarPlay on top of that. But as you can see, we are fully connected, and it's that simple setting up an Apple CarPlay and connecting an Apple device inside of this vehicle. We can go back home, go back into our CarPlay settings along the very bottom. We can hit our phone list at the top, or we can go through settings into our phone list there instead. So that simple, setting it up. Setting up an Android device is literally the exact same process. So what we're going to do, if we're not on this screen, we're on one of the other screens. Actually, I'm going to disable CarPlay for a second. So we go phone list, my phone, and we're going to go disable CarPlay. There we go, perfect. So we're back to just our generic phone. So if we're in our phone here, we can reconnect to that phone, or we can add a new phone if we want to.
Search for your vehicle on your device and select it once it is found.
And same idea, we're just going to jump in here, and we are looking for F150, which is showing up along the very bottom there. So we're going to connect.
Confirm that the pin displayed on Sync matches the pin displayed on your device.
Pins match up, which is perfect, and we are fully connected there.
For your safety, please stay alert to changing road conditions and use Sync's voice-activated features while your vehicle is in motion.
Thank you. All right, so we're connected there. Now, we just saw on the iPhone side of things how easy it was to be able to set this thing up in order to connect to Android or Apple CarPlay. So Android Auto, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to enable right when we set the phone up. So we're connecting now. We want to deny contacts. We're not going to let it access to the messages, contacts, whatever the case may be. And we're going to deny there, and we are connecting to Android Auto. So we're going to hit continue. It should take a few seconds there, and 3, 2, we are fully connected. And as you can see there, we've got Waze connected through Android Auto now, which is amazing. We can jump back into our main screen by pressing this button. We've got podcasts along the very top, so if we're listening to podcasts, we can explore, etc. We can jump back into Waze there if we want to, just by pressing that button. And then scrolling up, we've got a few other options. So we've got Waze along the top. We can jump into Google Maps. We've got a few different options for our actual map applications. If we go here, we've got some other options for Google Maps specifically. We've got our music along the bottom, we've got our notification center, and then we've also got our Google Assistant. So we could technically press that if we want to. We can do a long press and hold on the steering wheel in order to activate our assistant that way. Or we could just say, okay, Google. And that's going to launch you into our assistant there too. So we've got a few different options that we can do it, very similar to what we saw on the iPhone side of things. So it is kind of nice that we can press that steering wheel prompt, or I should say the steering wheel button, in order to be able to use our assistant. So that's both on the Google and the Apple side of the vehicle. And then very similar to what we saw on the Apple side, we do have the flexibility to customize the Android Auto tray. So we're just going to search for Android Auto. We're going to go into our Android Auto settings, and we've got some other options. So we can see which vehicles we've been previously connected to. We can customize the launcher. So if you wanted to, let's actually hop. Okay, so we're going to go to our main Android Auto screen. So as you can see there, we've got a few options. Now let's say if we wanted to have our weather along the very top, as well as, let's take Waze and drag it to the very top as well. So we've got a few different options that are available there, but as you can see, it's not actually updating it. And the reason why is because we actually have to close down Android Auto in order for this thing to launch up in order to be able to customize it. So it's not the same way that it is on the Apple side where it's going to dynamically do it. We do have to shut down Android Auto, disconnect on the vehicle. So let me actually show you how that works. So from the top, we're going to go phone list, phone, we're going to temporarily disable. And then even on the Android Auto side, from here, we're just going to close down Android Auto. We're just going to reconnect. As you can see, we jump back inside, and those changes that we made have now taken effect into the vehicle. So we do have to restart it. Unfortunately, like I said, it's not dynamic, but we still have the flexibility to restart this way if we want to. And as I mentioned, we've got Waze, podcasts, so essentially what we saw on the Apple CarPlay side of things, and it literally is that easy, connecting a phone to the vehicle. If we hit our phone list along the very top, we now have 2 different phones connected. So we can select one of them, and actually we've connected the Android second. So we've got a few other options here. We can go phone settings, and we can make it a favorite. So if we've got multiple phones connected, which one is going to get connection priority? So as of right now, I have selected the Android to get connection priority, which means that if both phones are connected to, or in the vehicle, I should say, it's going to try to connect to the Android first rather than the iPhone. And literally that's simple, connecting them. In order to remove them from the vehicle, all we're going to do is we're going to hop back in, press the little trash button along the very top, and we can delete. And same idea, so we've got my iPhone there, same idea, we're going to press the trash button, we're going to delete. And as you can see there, literally that simple to be able to connect an Android and an iPhone device to this vehicle. All right, next up, so let's hop into our navigation. And navigation, so this is the factory navigation. We've got connected services when you purchase your new vehicle. It's either going to be 3 months up to 3 years, just depending on how you have the vehicle configured at time of ordering. But a few things to point out. So along the very top left, we do have this little hamburger button, which gives us our map orientation. So we can go 2D, 3D. We've got some different options there. It's really a matter of what do you like the look of. We've got some options for a voice. So as we're coming to an upcoming turn, do we want to have voice and tones, strictly voice, or strictly tones, letting us know of an upcoming turn? Do we want to show traffic on the map, yes or no? And we've got to avoid certain things. So if we want to avoid highways, toll roads, tunnels, whatever the case may be, we can select whatever is necessary. And then when we go to search for a location, it's going to automatically update as necessary. We can show certain things on maps, or specifically our point of interest icons, matter of preference of whether that shows up. Trailer-friendly routes, which is kind of nice, so you know that you're not going to go crazy off-roading if you've got a trailer connected. Then we've got our trailer menu, so we can jump into the actual menu for the trailer on top of that directly through this screen, but we'll get to that one in a second. We've got some options for more settings. So we've got preferences. If we want to avoid traffic, use HOV lanes. We've got our 3D map, which we already saw that, so we can show our buildings there if we want. Preferred route, do we want the fastest or the most eco-friendly route? And then our breadcrumbs, do we want those showing up? Yes, no. The breadcrumbs, if we're on our map, whatever directions, or whatever roads we travel to, they're going to be little drops all over the place. So think of it as Hansel and Gretel. We're dropping breadcrumbs as we go. Back into our hamburger menu, that's going to be the basics there. We've got our privacy and then our about on top of that. Moving back and back again. We can search for addresses a few different ways. So we can look at our recents, we can go saved, gas stations, food, whatever the case may be. If we start just randomly typing in an address, going to give it a second. And as you can see there, so it's given us a few suggestions. We're just going to hit one of these things. And if there was a number available, so if our phone was connected, we could call that location. If the number was available, we can save it as a favorite, or we can look at alternative routes. So we've got our main route, we can go secondary route, third route, whatever one we want to take, we're just going to highlight and hit start.
Obey traffic laws, be alert, and use voice commands while driving. Please proceed to the highlighted road.
All right, so we've got the option there. We can see exactly what's happening, so what directions it wants us to take. We can add in another destination on top of that. So if we want to, we can save gas stations or food or whatever the case may be, and we can add that into the route dynamically. We can press this little button, and that's going to give us the full route option instead. We can press this in order to mute out, or we can hit the X button in order to cancel the route, and then we can just do a hit there in order to resume. We can search a few different ways, as I mentioned, for different point of interest icons. If we had GPS coordinates, we could input those in order to search that way instead. Along the bottom, we can hide this tray. We've got the option for a few different characters, and then from there, we can also select our keyboard language. Spaces, whatever the case may be, we can hop back, and then we've also got our starred, so our favorite addresses. As of right now, we haven't set anything up, but we could set up a home address, work address, whatever the case may be. If we go into our previous, we're going to hit here, which is a gas station. We're going to save it. Back, watch this. Favorite, and we've got that gas station that we just set up. So if we click on the station there, we could start the navigation if we want to. We can see parking. We can see how close the flag is to finish. We can avoid 4x4 roads, and we can unstart if we want to. So if we want to get rid of that, we've got the option to easily do it. One of the benefits of setting up our home or our work address is that if we're just pressing the voice command prompt on the steering wheel, we can say things like navigate home, navigate to work, whatever the case may be, and it'll automatically navigate us to that address. We do also have the flexibility of pressing the voice command prompt on the steering wheel. Navigate to Tim Hortons.
Which item would you like?
Okay, so as you can see there, so it gives us a lot of options. We can easily
Starting
select.
route to Tim Hortons.
And there we go. So we've got a ton of options. That is kind of nice.
To the highlighted road.
They're kind of nice that we've got that option. Along the bottom right-hand side, we can also extend this out if you want a full view of the map instead. So the factory navigation has the flexibility to take the entire screen real estate into account. We press the X button there in order to cancel it out again. And that's going to be the basics of using factory navigation inside of this thing. Moving into our favorite button along the very bottom. So favorite button, we can set it up to more or less do what we want it to do. So we've got some options there. So as you can see, we can do a hot button press to get into our phones, calls, messages, audio sources, and a few other things. I'd probably say the either vehicle settings or let's see, the audio sources is a neat one because watch this. So it updates there. So if we hop off that screen, we jump back inside now. We've got options of jumping right into our different entertainment sources. We hit edit again, and we can change this button out to a few other things. So if we want a zone lighting button instead, we click off, click back on, launches us into our zone lighting. So it is kind of nice to know that we've got the option to be able to do it. We can turn our lighting on from there, all zones on, turn off very easily, and that's just by editing our own custom button there. We've got our base app screen, which, as you can see, we've got Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, we've got other mobile apps that may be available. No device connected, so certain apps specifically on the Apple CarPlay side, or the Apple side would be LiveX Live, Pandora, things like that. So certain apps will work directly through this screen without having to be connected through Android or Apple CarPlay. And next up, moving into our settings. So tons of options. We've got some options for radio, so radio text, and then our presets. I always recommend just going to the max preset pages, and I'll show you why. So we've just done 6. And as you can see, we've got up to 30 individual preset pages there. We can jump into our sources and watch this. We go SiriusXM. Oh, settings. That's now a SiriusXM button instead. So we press into that, and we've got a ton of other settings. So we can jump into some basic sound settings, which we've already seen those ones. We can manage our subscription. If you've got a subscription from a previous vehicle, you can call SiriusXM, and then all you have to do is give them the basic information, and they will transfer your existing service over to the new vehicle instead, which is definitely a nice thing. We can create listeners. I believe it's up to 5 individual profiles. So if you've got multiple people driving the vehicle, you can have them set up for their own personal profiles there. We can have some favorites going. We can add current, so whatever we're currently listening to. We can see our listening history. We've got our different settings. So the settings are the important one there. ton of options. So we've got some different notifications. So for artists or songs, so if specific songs or artists are coming on, it's going to let you know. And then we've got some different options for our team, which again, same thing, we can add in for specific things. So we want to listen to MLB, so MLB, NBA, whatever the case may be. Tons of options there. And back again, we've got our tune to start, or we can reset the history. Block explicit content is interesting. So if you want to, you've got kids in the vehicle, you could hit that. You want to block out Howard Stern or whatever the case may be. And back again, we've got our basics there. Preset pages, I already mentioned that. We've updated it for 6, and that's a mix of AM, FM, SiriusXM, whatever the case may be. Jumping in the back there, we've got the option of adding in a phone there. We can press phone along the very bottom, so we've got a few different ways we can get into adding a phone. Sync navigation, which we've already seen this, so we've got all of our different settings there. Back into our settings again, we've got some sound settings, which, same idea, we've already seen all of these options. Base vehicle settings, 30-minute max idle. So what's going to happen with this setting turned on, if the vehicle's idling for 30 minutes, it's automatically going to turn off for us. Rear occupant alert, when we go to turn the vehicle off, we're going to get a notification on our screen letting us know we should check the back seats. My key, we have the flexibility of setting up different limitations for an individual key fob. So that's really useful because let's say if you want to, have a limitation so that people can't speed excessively, or if you're lending your vehicle out to your kid, whatever the case may be, you can set up certain limitations for your key fob. We've got our serial number, remote start. So when we remote start directly either through our key fob or through our cell phone, what happens? Is the climate control going to be auto? So is it going to let the vehicle figure out what the setting should be? Or is it going to be based off of our last settings? Do we want to have the auto seats? So do we want our heated seats turned on, or steering wheel, whatever the case may be, if we had the heated wheel as an option? And then the duration of the start, so 5, 10, or 15 minutes. Back again, we've got our wiper option. Courtesy wipe, with this option turned on, if we've got our front windshield wipers going, at the end of the cycle, it's going to go one more time to clear away any excess liquid that might be on our windshield. Options for our lighting, so auto high beam. What's going to happen is, too dark out, our high beams are going to turn on. If the vehicle senses that there is an oncoming vehicle, it's going to start dimming them before turning them off completely, and then it'll flip them back on again. So it's a really smart system there. Welcome lighting on the outside of the vehicle, welcoming us to the truck. Auto lamp delay, so when we go to lock the vehicle, do our lamps stay on for 10 seconds, 20 seconds, or 120 seconds? And then we've got the option for our zone lighting. So do we want to override our lamps and include the reverse lamps? Yes, we do. Zone lighting, definitely useful if you're working later on at night. And then we've got some options for our lighting. Oh, lighting we've already seen. All right, next, locks. So locks, we do have the option of doing unlock, so auto unlock. So when we go to stop the truck, do the doors automatically become unlocked? And then we've got options for mislock chirp inhibitors and things like that. So mislock chirp is a good one because if the doors aren't shut properly and you go to lock it, you're going to get a double chirp letting you know that the door isn't shut properly, which is great. When we go to remote unlock the vehicle, do all doors become unlocked, or is it just the driver's side door? So you've got a few different options available there. And back again, and I think we've got, is that it? Oh, door keypad code, there we go. 5-digit factory number on the outside of the vehicle to get inside. If yours doesn't have it, you technically could add it in aftermarket, but you won't have this same door keypad code on this sync screen. So with the door keypad code, there is a 5-digit factory number you'd be able to enter in order to get inside if you don't have your fob on you. One of the great things about this, though, is that you can also set up multiple other codes. So let's say if you have a 5-digit number you're going to remember easier, you can enter the factory number first, and then you can add in a secondary code from there. That's going to be the basics of our vehicle settings. Moving into our clock. So we've got 2 different ways we can get to the clock. So if we're not in our settings, we can press clock along the clock along the very top, or we can press clock through the settings there. Change between hours, minutes, AM, PM. We can flip out to military time instead, and we can have the vehicle automatically update the time for us, just depending on our geographic location. Back again, we've got a few other options. So we've got our general settings. Language, English, Spanish, French, Celsius, Fahrenheit, kilometers, liters per 100, miles per gallon, whatever the case may be. That beeping that we're getting, if that drives you nuts, you've got the flexibility to turn it off. We've got some options for software licenses, and we can do a reset. So 2 different resets. One of them is going to be for Ford Pass. So we've got the flexibility of setting up Ford Pass on our phone to be able to do things like remote start. We can schedule remote start times and things like that through our cell phone. And then let's say if we have to kick somebody off, we just go reset all if we want to. We can reset our hotspot for the vehicle. And if we're selling the vehicle, we can just do a master reset to bring everything back to the factory defaults instead. That'll be the basics of our general settings and our display. So as big and bright and as beautiful as this display is, if you find it to be a teeny little bit too much, you do have the flexibility to turn the display off if you want to. So we can go display off there. So you can see, display turned off. We just button press to turn it back on again. We can do a calming screen instead, which gives us just our date and time. Button press again to turn that back on. We can adjust the brightness of the screen, so we can adjust it here if we want to. There also is a button just by our left knee where we can increase, decrease the screen brightness on top of that. So really nice we've got that option. And then we've got some different modes. So as of right now, it's technically in the day mode because, there we go. So as you can see, so daytime versus nighttime mode, we can lock out one or the other. So if you prefer the daytime, you prefer the nighttime, you can permanently lock it out, or you can have the vehicle determine which mode we're gonna be in. And that's just based off of how bright it is outside. Moving back again, and back, we've got a few other options. Let's scroll across into our connectivity. So a few other options. So we've got our connected vehicle features. So you can see we can turn that off completely if we want to. We've got SiriusXM with our 360, so that's going to be our connected navigation. This is an add-on service, so you do have a few years of connected service when you first purchase your vehicle, but you can extend it out as necessary just by enrolling in that feature. Back again, we've got some options for Bluetooth, so we can turn Bluetooth off, or we can change our vehicle name. So if you want to name it something unique, you've got the flexibility to do it. We've got our wireless app projection, and then we can manage our Wi-Fi networks. So I definitely recommend you can connect to Wi-Fi at home if you want to. And one of the benefits there, we're going to tie that into our system updates. So system updates, definitely recommend automatic updates. And one of the benefits of being connected at home is that the vehicle, when it recognizes an update, it's going to literally download the update, and then it's going to install it for us. The updates that are done over the air, it does take quite a while to install them. So it might be like an hour or two to download and then an hour or two to install. So you're potentially 2 to 3 hours of your truck updating, depending on the strength of your Wi-Fi network at home. Vehicle hotspot. The vehicle is equipped with an onboard modem, so we can set it up for a wireless hotspot for up to 10 devices. We can easily toggle that on or off if we want to. But one of the cool things about that, so we do technically need a data-only plan through our cell phone provider to get it, but you can use it as a hotspot. If you're on the road, you've got a bunch of kids with other tablets and things like that, you've got the flexibility to do that. We've got different settings, so we can literally set it up for whatever we want the network name to be. We can set up a password and a few other things. Manage devices, so if we've got multiple devices connected, we can block them if we want to, or we can manage the devices that are connected to the vehicle. And back again, we're going to go to mobile apps. So certain apps will only work through USB, as you can see there, specifically through the Android Auto side of things. And then we've seen our system updates, and we've got our Ford Assistant. So the Ford Assistant is great. It's definitely improvement over the old Sync4 system. We've got the flexibility to have it listen to a wake word. So preferred wake words, we've got things like this, OK Ford Pass, etc. So if we say, there we go, OK Ford, so it picked it up there, as you can see there. So it launches into the voice command prompt. So rather than pressing the prompt on the steering wheel, if we have this thing enabled, it's going to listen to whatever our preferred wake word is there, which is definitely a nice thing. We've got our advanced mode, which means we won't get as many notifications. So we go to change, let's say, a song, radio station, or we change a radio station or navigate. We won't get a notification letting us know that we've done that. It'll just do it. Phone confirmation, do you want to call such and such person? Yes or no? And then this is going to be the voice command prompt. So whether or not that one shows up, matter of preference there, or command list, I should say. So that's our list. So you've got the option of whether or not that thing shows up, and then you can literally see exactly what you can say on each individual setting there. So as you can see, you can say things like this on our media. We can say play, we can change, whatever the case would be. So a lot of flexibility with this voice assistant. And moving back, we've also got our 911 assist, which we saw earlier. So we need to have a phone connected for this thing to technically be active. But as long as your phone Bluetooth is just turned on, your phone will try to reconnect if you're in an accident and it needs to dial 911. And finally, we do have our valet mode. So we enter in a 4-digit number in order to be able to lock the screen out. So something nice and difficult like 1, 2, 3, 4. And as you can see, everything's disappeared along the bottom. So valet mode essentially locks the screen out, and it's strictly the screen. So you can't do anything unless you re-enter that 4-digit number again. So as you can see, it brings the screen back to life again. Next up, we've got our features there. So a ton of different options that are available. Starting off with our driver assistance along the top left-hand side. So you can see their first one is going to be our auto hold setting. So if we have that one turned on, if we shift into drive and we come to a complete stop, we can take our foot off the brake and the vehicle is not going to move. Lane keeping system, we've got 3 different options there. So we can either go between our alert, aid, or an alert and aid. The alert, if we start to veer over into a lane without signaling, we're going to get a little bit of a steering wheel shake, almost as if we're running over rumble pavement. An aid is going to gently nudge us back into our lane, and the alert and the aid will do both. Back again, we've got the intensity of that steering wheel shake, so a high, normal, or a low shake. pre-collision assist. If the vehicle recognizes a potential collision, is it going to actively brake for us? And then a sensitivity system. So how sensitive is it to that potential braking for us? We could turn these systems off if we really don't like them. So that's a nice thing. We've got the flexibility to do that. We've got some options for rear view camera. So our enhanced parking aid, if we shift into reverse, this is the enhanced parking aid along the top right-hand side. So whether or not that one shows up, a matter of preference. The delay, if we have our reverse camera on and then we go to drive forward, it's going to keep that camera on the screen for a few seconds for us. Our blind spot system, so a vehicle lets us know if anybody's into the blind spot on either side of the truck. We've got our parking aid sensors. So this one strictly has the rear sensors. If we had the option with front sensors, we could turn both of these things off. So if we're going off-roading, you don't want them screaming at you, you've got the flexibility to turn it off if you want to. Cross traffic alert, if we're backing up and somebody's coming perpendicular, so from the left to right, it's going to let us know of a potential collision. Our reverse brake assist, so as we're backing up, if the vehicle senses a potential obstacle behind us, it's going to automatically brake for us. And then our driver alert, if we start to veer over too many times without signaling, it's going to tell us eventually that we should probably take a break. We've got some options for zone lighting, so we can turn on different lights all throughout the vehicle. So you can see there, we can kind of move between different options, so we can go left, right, forwards, whatever the case may be. We can have all zones turned on, so for our lamps, for the bed, literally all around. So it's definitely useful if you're working a little bit later on at night. Pressing that hamburger button, we've got the option of overriding lamps as necessary. And back, we've got some options for towing now. So towing, we can look at our connection. This is so neat. Connection checklist, so we can see exactly what we should be doing as we connect to different trailers. So we can literally see everything, a walk-through direction on how we can set the trailer up. So it is nice that we've got this option instead. We've got our smart hitch, which we can see exactly what's going on for conventional, weight distribution, etc. And same idea. We can navigate through each one of these options. So one of the nice things about the smart hitches and with the onboard scales, that's what I was looking for, and with the onboard scales, is that we can literally see exactly how much weight we've got inside of the vehicle and what our total payload is. So we've got different scale modes if we want to. So we go vehicle mode. We've got our taillights that we can turn on. And one of the cool things with our lights on, it's going to let us know how full the vehicle is. So it is such a great system there. Back again, let's hit onboard scales, hamburger menu. We've got different scale modes, so we can reset to 0 very easily. We can kind of adjust as necessary there. We've got some options for our passenger and load reminders, and then we can either go between pounds or kilograms there instead. So as we go back, we can see this specific truck has a payload capacity of 1,792 pounds. Moving back, we've got our smart hitch, which again shows us exactly how we can set these different things up. Weight distribution hitches versus gooseneck and fifth wheel, things like that. But if you're looking for a little bit more information on all the different hitches and setups and towing capacities, check down below for a walk-around video on how that stuff works instead. And we've also got, a few more options for towing. We can add in multiple trailers if we want to, so we can add in a trailer name and type. We go through measurements and things like that. We can manage all of our active trailers. We've got our trailer light check to make sure that all the trailers are working properly. We've got our trailer connection notification as we set up and hook up a trailer. And then our sway control. So if we've got trailer sway going on, the vehicle is going to automatically apply braking in order to get that sway under control for us. And that's going to be the basics there. We also do have an owner's manual. So if you're ever getting any weird lights on the dash, you want to know exactly what's going on. In a second, this will load up, and then it's going to let us know exactly what we can do there. So we can see different videos. We can do a visual search or a category search to see different things that are going on. So that was pretty neat, right? I do love all the flexibility that we've got in that screen. Having the temperature gauges inside of the screen itself is kind of neat that they did that for the 22 model year. But if you have any questions, you have ran into any problems, drop down in the comment section and let me know. More than willing to talk you through any issues that you might be having. But if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and share it with your social networks. And until I see you next time, take care.